This video is about making an enclosure for my Ortur, that Laser Master 2 Pro. And I started out by using all scrap wood on this thing. I went to Home Depot to buy a sheet of plywood. They didn't have what I wanted and it was overly expensive, so I went home and just dug through the scrap and found what I could, and started making out of scrap pieces. And I decided to use a CNC router to cut out a couple of the parts here to make it easier. I mean, you could do it with the jigsaw and the drill press and stuff, but this just made it a little bit easier for me. So I went through, and first thing I did is I got a base cut out, and then I cut out a front panel there. You can see I have an opening for the Ortur board there to come through. I wanted that exposed, and I actually wanted the flame sensor on the inside. And then I had to go through and modify, make some cables up to be able to mount the alarm on the outside, and actually the EMO button on the outside. So a couple short cables, and use some connectors I had around, and that made that easy to do. And then I went back and I had cut the based size, but I needed to put some holes in it, so I calculated the size of the holes and amount that I needed to equal the square inches for the fan, and went back with the CNC router and put them in there. Now again, they could be drilled in easily, and I'm just sharing some ideas of what I did here for the enclosure. Hopefully it'll give others some ideas to get going, but there it is. Again, I did use an 1/8 inch cutter to cut them out, so it was a little bit slow, but I didn't feel like doing any bit changes or anything. And a couple minutes later, I had all my intake holes located. You can see the plugs come right out, and then I took this base and I went back and I rounded the edges on both the top and the bottom of all of these holes, because you never want air to flow across the sharp corner. So I just put some radiuses on there to break it and hopefully get the airflow up, and used one of those stands that I got on Craigslist a while ago to put this all on. And now I'm just starting to glue the front onto the base there. And I just threw the Laser Master down and measured it, and used that to size everything up. And now I'm putting the sides on. Now these sides were actually made from the hardboard that was used to package my Makita saw track in, so I'm just reusing that for this. And this is all scrap basically. The only thing I wound up buying in the end was a fan. So I just put some glue on there, and then I used my narrow crown stapler to go back and staple this all together here and hold it instead of clamping it and waiting. And then when everything dried up, I went back and I just took some wood filler and I filled in where the staple heads were, so you wouldn't see it when I painted it. So you can see, really nothing fancy. It was all basically scrap. I refuse to pay the prices that they're charging for the garbage plywood that they're selling these days. So I got the sides on, and then I just double check to make sure everything's going to fit together good here. And I did make some locating blocks, just like I did on my other table, to hold the laser located, and made sure everything cleared on both sides and stuff. And that's a basic start of it. And then where the fan's going on the top, I actually had to make a diffuser to get the airflow even across the top. And at the same time here, you'll see that I am putting in an air assist. I ran some 1/8 inch tubing, a soft polyurethane tubing through that track, and then I have a little regulator there and a solenoid and stuff like that. And also, I'm just using the Ortur offline controller here, but someday I'm going to get the one made for this laser that's going to go on the front there also. So I ordered the fan on Amazon, and that actually came. This is the same fan I'm using in my grow tent, And I ordered another one. It's an expensive fan, but it's definitely worth it for something like this. There is no air leak. There are no air leaks out of it. It's very energy efficient, and it's made to blow through a tube too. It's not gonna lose a lot of CFM when you put it on a tube in front of it. So it's got a 10-speed controller there and stuff. So I didn't want to cheap out on the fan, so I got that. And then I located where it had to go, and again I went back over to the CNC router only because I didn't have a hole saw the correct size to make it a nice tight fit on the fan. So you'd have to make a template or something like that, or do it on a drill press with an adjustable hole saw. But I used the router because it's quicker and easier for me, and only took a minute. And you can see I got a nice cut there, and it does do a good job with that little 1/8" bit going slow. And it's not slipped right in the top, and I'm just testing with some piece of paper here, but you can see I have a very even airflow across the whole unit now, so there should be no dead spots. It should be able to get all the smoke out as it rises up a little bit. And that's what I was shooting for, and testing will tell. So now that I know that's going to work, I'm just going to start gluing everything up, doing the final glue up. And, as I've said before, you can never have enough clamps. And you can see it does take quite a few clamps sometimes. But that was, some more scrap plywood I had. Then I bought a piece of orange plastic to use for the cover, but it turned out you could not see through the piece that I bought. They shipped a piece that was like really, you just couldn't see through it. So I decided, okay, what the heck, I'm just going to use a piece of this quarter-inch Lexan that I have here that was left over from when I made that shield for my tractor. And I just cut a flat bottom V-groove in there, 90-degree V-groove, so I can bend it. You have to cut it down to 60 thousandths of an inch, and then I can take it out on a press and just bend it like that. And I really got lucky that first shot. It fit right in there perfectly. So that's going to be my cover there. And then I had some piano hinge laying around, and just sort of put that in there to open and close it. And as with everything I build, I'm still using this original gallon of orange paint that I started with. And I'm going to make this match everything else in the shop. So 2 coats of paint, and then I just sprayed the inside white with a rattle can. And there we are, ready to start putting things together now. You can see I did add a couple pieces for foam seals on the side of the lid there too. I don't want air being pulled in those spots. Take the clear off, and that's pretty much what it looks like. Then for the air assist, I have a glue needle from a glue injecting syringe, and I'm just going to drill an angled hole down there as close to the center line as I can get it in both directions on the laser, and I used a hand drill with that. And then I super glued that in there, and I made up a LED light to go up in there too. And then I went up to my Cameo 3, and I did cut some stickers to put on it just to dress it up a little bit here. And got them all on it. You can see they do add a little bit of class to a job when you do it. It's really a lot of fun, just dressing them up with that. And I got my laser glasses. One on there. And I'm going to call this a laser pod. And you can see it all fits together nice, and looks like it's going to work good. I've got the controller for the fan mounted on the front there. And now I have to start moving all this scrap wood. This is where it's going to go. It's going to be over in front of this window here and vent out the window. I'm going to put a exhaust vent through it, but meanwhile I've got to burn all that. It looks like I've got a lot of kindling for this winter. And there it is, all finished up. I made a bracket to hold that controller, and like I said, I don't have the right controller for this one, but I'm going to guess that it's going to be the same size. And I put a switch on there, and there's a air inlet there to hook the air line up for the air assist. And the switch turns everything on, turns on the fan, the light, the the Ortur Laser Master, and everything's ready to go when you turn it on. And there you can see the top opens up. Now I'm probably going to put a piece of plywood in there, thin plywood, to burn on, but I'm not quite sure yet. And just turn it on, power it up, and home it, and you can see pretty much how close everything is. And there's the fine flow control for the air assist. And I don't really know whether or not you really need air assist, but everybody does it, so I'm going to try it and find out. And there's a small miniature regulator in there to control it. And I did put a small 12-volt solenoid, miniature solenoid down there. And right now I put a switch on there to control it with, but I'm hoping someday I'll be able to control it with the actual Ortur controller. Maybe someday they'll add that, but for now I've got to turn it on manually. And there's a fan, a nice quiet fan, really powerful, and a brushless motor, so it's a low energy usage. And for something like this, you really want to go with a good fan. Those other cheaper ones, they leak at the seams and stuff like that, and they just lose a lot of pressure the minute you put a hose on them. So, this one here, these are good. And you can see I've got some outlets I put on the back there that turn everything on and off, control it. It all plugs into there. Got the wires all wrapped up and shortened and tied up underneath the box there, so you really don't see them hanging down. And I did get the correct screws. You can see the flatheads in the corners to hold this down to that aluminum framework that I have. And the little wrench that came with it, I stuck some magnets on the side there so I wouldn't lose it. And I figured that's a good place to store it for now. So that's that's pretty much what I came up with there. And again, this air assist, I'm not sure if it's required or what, but I've added it. So I've got a functioning air assist, and I may do some final shaping of that nozzle, a little bit of grinding and bending once I get everything going and I see how it works. But for now, it's it's aimed right at the center of where the focus point is, so we'll see. Now to test it, I'm just going to do it again here. What I did is I just threw some coarse stuff out of the sawdust out of the table saw in there. And then I just put it down, and this here is, I think this is 20 psi. I've got it set at with a really low flow, and it seems to be shooting just a little bit past where the center line is, so I'm gonna have to bend it a little bit, but it looks like it'll have plenty of power to blow smoke out with probably about 5 psi of air, so it'll be really low air usage. And I just thought I'd share this build here because my wife wouldn't let me run it in the house anymore with the AC on in the house and house all closed up. Whenever I ran this, the whole house would smell like smoke for 3 days. So, basically I was shut down until I came up with a good solution for venting it. And this is what I came up with. And this is just going to be for flat boards up to 3/4 or an inch thick and, within the size of the laser. I'm not going to add the rotary here or anything yet. Hopefully I'll get the right offline controller someday and be able to just run this as a standalone unit. These Ortur lasers, sure, they're a lot of fun, and they do a good job, so, I'm looking forward to being able to use it again. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.